And you can see a pretty healthy supercell thunderstorm right now just to the south and west of Iowa City. There is the core. You can see the core right here in these darker reds. That is the core of the thunderstorm. That's where we are picking up some rotation with this. And we have our very own CJ Garland in Johnson County. Is he on the phone with us now, or is that just where he's at? Okay, he's on the phone with us right now. All right, CJ, you're in Johnson County. What are you seeing at your location right now?
Yeah, Brandon, I am just a few miles east of Kelowna right now, and it looks like we are getting some rotation. You can see the clouds right above me on the light map here, and it's just a little bit to the north, but it's looking like some rotation in that system. We have a lot of rain that just led into this and a lot of lightning. Some folks are having some issues on the road, so just a reminder to keep your headlights on and try to stay out of the area because there are definitely some hazards that are coming along with this. But it looks like the system is actually getting a little bit more active as I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm watching what looks like rotation going on just in front of me.
And where are you at exactly again, CJ?
I am just a few miles east of Kelowna. I'm right off of Highway 1.
Okay, and how long have you been seeing this rotation with the storm? I know you just got down there, but how long have you been kind of seeing the storm rotating from your location?
It just kind of moved into my area as I was getting here. It was meeting me, and since I've been sitting here, it feels like it's been increasing in activity just a little bit as I'm watching it.
Okay, and we can see the video right here that you're shooting. The pretty ominous clouds there. You see the clear sky off in the distance, but then you do see the dark clouds right there. Definitely raining where CJ is as well. So CJ, let us know if you're going to be staying there or if you're going to be going elsewhere. But this storm is moving close to your location as it is right now. We do have a tornado warning for Johnson County. And if we go back to, here we go, here's our Doppler radar right now. And where you see this pink and this purple color, that is the core of the storm. No doubt putting out maybe 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, some golf ball, maybe ping pong ball size hail, definitely associated with the storm, and the torrential rainfall as well. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere. The high temperature got up to 93 around Iowa City today. The current dew point is at 80. So a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So definitely an inch or two of rain, maybe locally higher amounts are possible as well. And Rebecca Kolpeman is here. Have you seen anything on the chat regarding the storm at all?
Yeah, Brandon, we haven't had anything come down here, but did want to mention, you're talking about all the moisture. We do have some heavy rain possible here, and also hail to the size of golf balls. Possibly could see some ping pong sized hail with this storm as it falls down. The thing is, it's pretty warm out there, so hail's probably not surviving too much on the ground.
Yeah. It's probably melting before it even gets down to the ground. It is so warm out, but heavy rain is a threat with this storm. And of course, we are seeing rotation. CJ, our very own CJ Garland out there around Kelowna was picking up the rotation from where he was at. If we can go to box number 2 and we'll pick up the velocities right here, and you can see the rotation would be right in this area is kind of what we're looking at. And I can expand this out just a little bit, and you can see Iowa City right here, and then here is Hills, and you see the rotation just to the southwest of Iowa City. And again, this storm is pushing off to the east. Tornado warning for Johnson County until 5:45. So we do see this rotation again right here just to the east of Parnell, and it continues to move right towards Iowa City and the Hills location in Johnson County.
Yeah, Brendan, I did want to, I'm trying to get it up for us. It's not come through just yet in our system, but the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has issued a severe thunderstorm watch now, and it does go until midnight, and this covers everybody with the exception of Winneshiek and Allamakee counties in our area. So everyone is under that severe thunderstorm watch.
Okay, the Storm Prediction Center did put out that watch. So they were thinking about it earlier this afternoon, so they did go ahead and put that out. We do have the threat of severe weather, not only with this storm that we're watching right now, but storms additional later on this evening through probably the early part of the overnight hours. And if we can go back to our other box, we'll kind of show you the radar, what we're looking at. Here's our tornado warned storm in Johnson County again.
We can actually see kind of the inflow and a little hook on the storm.
Yep, right in through this area.
And we can kind of get to street level on here. Johnson, Iowa Road Southwest, 320th Street, just to the north of Amish here, and Wyndham.
Yeah, so we're seeing this kind of inflow notch, the dry air being sucked up into the storm, creating this rotation. So this is where the likely rotation would be here in the storm as it continues to move through Johnson County. And again, here's our velocities, and we are looking at that rotation kind of right up in this area where we were seeing that little inflow notch, or that hook echo is what it's called as well. And we'll put a fan here on this, and again, it's going to be near Windham around 5 o'clock and Iowa City around 5:36. So if you're in Iowa City, you still got time, but you should be taking cover now and trying to get to a safe spot, as the storm will be moving towards your area here in about the next 30 to 40 minutes. And this storm, I'm thinking, what, 60,000 foot echo tops. This thing kind of came out of nowhere here within about the last hour and a half. And we'll look at the cloud tops right now, and where you're seeing these darker reds. Yep, here we go, 60,000 foot thunderstorm. That is a tall thunderstorm. The instability off the charts today, around 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. So that is pretty extreme. And when you get temperatures in the 80s, even 90s, as was the case here in some of our southern counties south of I-80, dew points in the 70s, even 80 to 81 here today as well. There's just extreme instability. So these storms really start to explode. And it is right along a warm front where this thunderstorm has developed. And we have our very own chief meteorologist, Terry Swales, on the phone with us right now. And you are in Iowa City, is that correct, Terry?
Actually, I'm in Coralville.
Okay.
I'm right at the mall there. I'm just getting on to Interstate 80, and I'm going to be heading to the west, and we're going to try to intercept the storm going south on 218. But where I'm at right now, the sirens are blowing here in the Coralville area. We've got torrential rain, very, very dark skies, pretty ominous-looking storm, to say the least. We also saw another wall cloud just to our north here, which would have been maybe a little bit north of the North Liberty area. So right now, just a real torrential rainstorm, and we're trying to get out of that and approach the storm from a better direction and get out of the hail course, too. That's another issue.
Are you seeing any rotation? Are you picking up any rotation from your location right now?
Well, where I'm at right now, we are in such a tremendous rainstorm that I can barely see 50 feet ahead of me. So that's our challenge right now, is we got to get further west, and then we're going to go on 218 south where we can get out of this, and then we'll be able to get a clear perspective of what's going on. But obviously, very distinct rotation on the radar that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We are picking that up on the radar. And I did mention with the dew points as high as they are today, a lot of moisture. We're starting to see the storm produce a lot of rain. As Terry just told us, he's driving through a very heavy part of the storm where there is heavy rain occurring. And we do have that tornado warning for Johnson County until 5:45.
Yeah, and let's see if we can get up this watch here now, see if they've... Okay, there we go. So until midnight. So it excludes Chickasaw, Winneshiek, and Alameda counties. Everybody else, this goes until midnight. So not the end of the storms, but the tornado threat likely going to be early. And then once we get into this evening, it's mostly going to be a wind threat.
Yeah, a wind and heavy rain threat. There is also as well as with the severe thunderstorm watch, there is a flash flood watch for, I think, pretty much the same counties here, excluding Winneshiek and Alameda County. We do have a flash flood watch for much of eastern Iowa, and here it is. No, they are included. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Keokuk and Washington County not included in the flash flood watch. So these areas likely to pick up 1, maybe 3 inches of rain in some of the stronger storms. Even some locally higher amounts are possible within the storms that do move throughout the evening hours tonight. As mentioned, there's just a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. We could see some localized flash flooding where these stronger storms do track. So that's why we do have a flash flood watch in effect through 9 a.m. tomorrow for much of eastern Iowa, except Keokuk and Washington counties. But we're going to go back to the radar right now. So you do see our tornado warned storm, but then some more showers up to our north of Highway 20. These again, just kind of light to moderate showers right now, but this area has picked up quite a bit of rain since the very early morning hours. You can see a bulk of the thunderstorms already pulling off into Wisconsin, so still a few remaining, but back off to the west. If we go back to central Iowa, you see some more showers, even a few more thunderstorms developing around the Carroll area. And you do see an outflow boundary, kind of where that warm front is lined up right along I-80. So these storms appear to be running in kind of a moderate cap right now. So they're not really holding all that well, but we are hoping, or we're at least counting on maybe some additional development later on tonight as maybe the cap does begin to weaken. But right now, we are looking at a tornado-warned storm here in Johnson County, and we're going to go back to our live shot right now. This is from our very own CJ Garland, and you can see it does look like kind of a lowering, a little bit of a wall cloud right there that he's looking at.
Yeah, and you can see not really rotating all that much, not seeing a lot of movement there, but definitely some lowering, and that's the first kind of just sign there. So you have to watch that storm.
Yeah, I'm not picking up a lot of rotation here with this one as well. Obviously, maybe since he's out there, he can see it a little bit better than us, but definitely a lowering right there. You can see the LCLs are very low. The cloud base is extremely low with a lot of this low-level moisture that is in place. So we're going to continue to watch that as we have our very own CJ Garland out there where the storm does continue to track, and he was right around the Kelowna area. But if you are from Iowa City down towards Hills, even further south than that along 218, you definitely want to take cover as the storm is quickly approaching Iowa City. It is moving to the east about 30-35 miles per hour and putting down some torrential rains as well as some gusty winds, 60-70 mile per hour winds. We did get a report that they were sounding the sirens, at least in North Liberty. This was about 20 to 30 minutes ago, and I'm sure obviously now throughout Johnson County the sirens are sounding with this tornado warning in effect for Johnson County until 5:45.
Yeah, and we haven't had any reports. They're still saying radar indicated rotation. So as you can see, CJ's on that storm, and we haven't had any reports of anything touching down necessarily, but it could even see a little bit of trying to see some perhaps funnel clouds trying to come down there, but not incredibly evident.
Yeah, not seeing anything yet as far as funnels or anything trying to touch down to the ground. This is all along a warm front, so the low-level shear kind of enhancing the storm a little bit right along that boundary. That's why we are seeing this storm rotating. But again, not seeing any evidence of it putting down a tornado, but it certainly is fully capable. And if we go to box 2 real quick, we're going to go to this product radar scope, and this is picking up the velocities. And again, nothing kind of broad rotation right in here with this storm. If it's going to put down a tornado, this is obviously where it is going to be. This is where we are seeing the rotation with this thunderstorm. And CJ was down around the Kelowna area, so he's looking, I believe he was looking north into that storm, but it is to the north of Kelowna. This is where the rotation is in Johnson County as it continues to push to the east. And I'll move this even a little bit further, and you can see Iowa City, there's Hills. Riverside is out of the tornado warned part of this storm, but it looks like with this current path, it will come very close to Hills, may come a little bit south of Iowa City with it right now, but we're going to have to continue to watch this rotation to see what it does here over about the next 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, and Brandon, if we want to go back over to box 1 here, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Linn and Cedar and Jones counties. So this is a storm to the north, and there is a little bit of rotation in this storm, but it's not really too defined there. It looks like it kind of started to back off, or maybe a little south of Swisher there. As you're looking at it there, may be a little bit of rotation in that storm as well. But this is just for winds that could get up to 60 miles an hour and some penny-sized hail. This may come close to Cedar Rapids, the eastern side of the city here.
Yeah, right now that storm to the south of Cedar Rapids, but we're noticing it start to build up a little bit further to the north, even some additional development back to the west around Blairstown. But the severe thunderstorm warning, Cedar, Jones, and it looks like eastern Linn County. This is until 6 o'clock. As you can see, the storm, at least the northern extent, continues to drift even further to the north into Linn County. So the winds, again, 60, 70 mile per hour. Not looking at a big hail threat today. There's just a lot of warm air in the upper levels, so the hail, as it continues to fall, will start to melt away. It is fully capable of producing hail. There could be some hail, but not likely extremely large hail. The main thing we have to watch certainly is the heavy rain. But we're going to go now to, this is CJ's look here inside the Road Warrior. This is a tornado warned storm in Johnson County, and you can you can see that wall cloud, that lowering right there. This is what he is looking at, and pretty ominous sight indeed out there in Johnson County. So if this thing is going to produce a tornado, it is going to drop right in there, and you can see the flashes of lightning as well. And another thing with this, with the heavy rain likely with this storm, that if it does put down a tornado, you might not even be able to see it because it's going to be rain wrapped. There is just so much moisture. But of course, we'll continue to look at CJ's shot here as he is right on this storm. As you can see it right there in Johnson County, and it looks like it's even starting to get even a little bit lower there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it does look like he's a little far away. It's hard to tell. It looks like some scud clouds, a little bit of a cloud starting to try and come off that wall cloud there, but it's kind of difficult to tell from the distance that he's at. But the rotation's definitely been cycling with this storm, so we're seeing some ups and downs, and it's not really been incredibly strong. And even if we go back over to box 2 here, you have it where it looks like 2 areas of rotation, and one's trying to build back to the west.
Yeah, we're seeing the rotation right here, the one that I believe CJ's looking at, which is just to the northeast of Kelowna, but back off to the west, where you're seeing these reds and these greens right next to each other. That again indicates rotation. This is what we look at. We're looking at the velocities here, the radar looking up into the storm at the wind field, and the greens are going to the radar, the reds are going away from the radar, and the radar site is back here to my east, right over my shoulder here in the Quad City. So you see the greens, the wind is coming this way, and then the reds are going this way. So we are picking up some rotation here on the back end of that storm, but some pretty broad rotation here again with what CJ is looking at, the shot that we just saw here just to the northeast of Kelowna, as this continues to push to the east. And I'll expand the view just a little bit so we can see kind of what we're looking at with this tornado warning. Again, for Johnson County till 5:45, this rotation just to the southwest of Iowa City, almost due west of Hills. So if you are in that location anywhere here in the path of this storm, you need to take cover as this is approaching your area, and this warning is in effect until 5:45.
And we can go back over to box 1 now, kind of get more of a street level view from our other radar, and kind of looking at 2 kind of areas of rotation, kind of just south of Wyndham there, and then Sharon Center is the first area of rotation we were watching when they issued this warning.
Yeah, right here across Sharon Center, this is what we're looking at. This is what CJ was looking at again. So we're seeing this rotation, and then back off to the west. We were seeing that other rotation around Wyndham, just to the south of there, along what looks like 500th Street Southwest, as we get a little bit closer, right along Highway 1. So we're seeing 2 areas of rotation, one to the east and to the west of Highway 1. So certainly a dangerous storm there, and you can see Iowa City up to the north, and here is Hill. So this storm, with its current track moving to the east around 30 to 35 miles per hour, looks like it's going to move pretty close to Hills, maybe a little bit to the south of Iowa City. But of course, with this storm cycling, and we're seeing even more rotation as we just saw here on the back end of the storm, Iowa City is still not out of the woods totally, even though the storm is to your south and west.
Yeah, and West Branch, Hills, more communities kind of in the path here, and this is just near Highway 1, and then likely going to stay south of I-80, could come close to Iowa City, the strongest part of the storm. Downey also concern there, and the movement has been a little odd. It's kind of tried to back build a little bit and not moving too much. In fact, I'm going to put the radar on just the last 30 minutes of a loop, and it's been sitting for a little bit here.
Yeah, it has. I wouldn't be surprised if some areas are picking up 1 to 2 inches, maybe even higher amounts as the storm does continue to kind of sit. But as you mentioned too, Rebecca, it's kind of back building back off to the west, and we're seeing these purples and pinks. That's the core of the storm right now. So it looks like the core was here, and then now it has shifted back a little bit to the west. So just torrential rainfall across Johnson County right now, and we could even see a little bit of hail with this as well. It is awfully warm out there, even in the upper levels. So as the hail falls, it will start to melt. So we could still see some hail with this, but the main threat, torrential rains. And of course, we are seeing some pretty evident rotation with this storm that has prompted this tornado warning for Johnson County until 5:45.
Yeah, and we also, the Weather Service is saying with that latest scan there, you can see the pinks kind of intensified. They're saying possibly up to the size of hen eggs.
Oh, wow.
2-inch in diameter hail. But like you mentioned, it's probably going to melt. Temperatures down that way got to 90 degrees, maybe even warmer than
Yeah.
that down near Iowa City. And so it won't take long for that to melt. If you want to go back over to box 2, it's kind of funky on the velocity mode there.
Yeah, we're looking at least a couple areas of rotation. Again, this was the initial rotation that prompted the warning right here, and get some cities in here, of course, just to the northeast of Kelowna, to the northwest of Riverside. So this is the area that prompted the warning. But again, this seems to be cycling a little bit further to the west, and this is where the core of the storm is, what we just saw here a little bit ago on the other radar, the pinks and the purples. So we're kind of watching right here. This is the core, again, of the storm, another area of rotation, but this is where the larger hail would be falling, and the radar is looking up into the clouds, another product that we can use to pick up the size and diameter of what we think the hail is going to be. But again, as we've been mentioning, it's been so warm out, a lot of moisture in the air, a lot of that hail is going to melt away before it does hit the ground. We can go back to our other max box and we'll show you, this is our hail product, and you can see here's right now this storm right around, let's see, to the northwest of Hills, about 1.5 inches diameter. So there you go, some pretty decent hail again from what the radar is detecting, but some of this will melt away before it does hit the surface. But certainly we could see some hail out of this, and then the core of the storm again back to the west as it continues to cycle is right now it looks like just to the south of Oxford and a little bit north of Kelowna right there as it continues to push east across Johnson County.
Yeah, we're seeing these little notches in the storm there where you're getting a little bit of inflow, and that's where we're seeing these two areas of rotation, but they're not incredibly tight. We haven't seen a lot of evidence of really tight rotation there.
Yeah, the storm sucking in all of this dryer, all of this air here and causing these rotations. So you're looking at an inflow notch right here and then another inflow right here that the storm just sucking in that air, and then it's rotating, and you can see as what we saw in our velocity scans, this is where the rotation, the two areas of rotation currently are with this tornado warned storm as it continues to move to the east. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch out that is until midnight for pretty much all of eastern Iowa except our far two northern counties. Winneshiek and Alameda are out of the severe thunderstorm watch. And where you see the pinks, everybody else is included in this watch. Again, this goes until midnight. This was just put out here within about the last 10 or 15 minutes. So this storm that we're watching now tied to a warm front. So it is kind of discrete. It is kind of by itself right now. But there are additional storms that we're expecting later on throughout the evening hours. The tornado threat, though, like you mentioned earlier, Rebecca, pretty much going to be through the early evening hours, and then that will kind of wane as we get into the later evening hours, and then it'll become more of a wind and heavy rain threat. And speaking of heavy rain, a flash flood watch has been issued for much of eastern Iowa, except Washington and Keokuk counties are excluded out of this flash flood watch, and this is until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. 1 to 3 inches likely across this area. Could see some locally higher amounts in the stronger storm, so some localized flash flooding is certainly possible anywhere here in the watch zone between now and tomorrow morning.
And we did just get a report from Ely. One is heavy rain of almost 1.5 inches fell in 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then also some pea-sized hail in Ely. So that's the weaker storm on the north side of that tornado warning there. But that's just an indication that it's not taking long for rain to fall. And we already had some flash flood warnings earlier in the day in our northern counties. So really, flash flooding could be a threat if these storms repeat over the same area over and over as we head into this evening.
And that's currently the setup that we think is going to happen, at least for most of eastern Iowa. We get these storms that are moving through right now, and then we may get additional storms here later on throughout the evening. So as they come through, they're going to put down these really localized heavy rains. So now we're going to go back to the Road Warrior, and we're getting a new area of rotation here. Do we know where this is specifically?
West of Highway 1.
What? Okay, northwest of. Okay, yeah, as the storm.
So that's the further to the west there.
Yes, the storm continues to cycle. This is the further west part of the storm that is rotating. So we are looking at that right now. This is again a Road Warrior shot. CJ Garland just to the northwest of Kelowna, to the west of Highway 1. That is currently where he is. And if we go back to our, let's go to box 2 if we can. We'll show you some of the areas that we're watching, and we're looking at 2 areas of rotation right now. This is, again, this storm still producing an area of rotation, just moving into the Hills area, just to the west of Hills right now. This was the initial part of the storm that did prompt a tornado warning, but again, this thing keeps cycling. We saw some more inflow. The storm is just sucking in some more air, and it is rotating again on the backside, and this is where the road warrior was looking, where CJ Garland is, just to the northwest of Kelowna. So we got 2 areas of rotation right now with this storm. Nothing confirmed as far as any tornadoes on the ground, but you know, that's something that could happen anytime. So we're currently going to be continuing to watch that, as this tornado warned storm is in effect for Johnson County until 5:45.
And if we go back to Max 1 too, just another reminder that some heavy rain falling, and also possibly some large hail at times. But this could get into a situation like Terry was driving through the core of the storm where he couldn't see anything. So we can get into one of those situations as well, where it might be hard to see if a tornado does form.
Yeah, it definitely would be rain wrapped if this tornado were to touch down on the ground. Just a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Dew points were in the 70s, even low 80s today, which is very tropical. If you go on vacation to the tropics, that's what it feels like. And that's what it felt like today in the last several days here in eastern Iowa. We just don't get that a whole lot. So a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Rains are going to be falling 1 to 3 inches likely here as we head throughout the evening hours. We do have those flash flood watches posted. So if the storm we're going to put down a tornado, likely are not going to be able to see it. So you should be taking cover right now if you're anywhere from Iowa City a little bit to the north, all the way down to about the county line. You should be taking cover now as the storm continues to get closer even to Iowa City. Here is the core. This is a pretty impressive core. We did have echo tops on this thing around 60,000 feet. That is a very massive, tall thunderstorm. And we're going to take a look at some video right now. This is near Hills, and you can definitely see kind of a wall cloud right there. This is around 5:13. This is taken by Adam Peters. This was about 3-4 minutes ago. So this is video, and you can kind of see that storm right there. Kind of hard to see if it is rotating, at least from where I'm at. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, it's a little difficult, but you can see on the edge of the wall cloud there, it's a little scud cloud, a little cloud trying to be a funnel cloud, if we can call it that, I guess, trying to kind of come off, but no really evident funnel or anything like that. And it's not rotating very fast, if it is rotating at all.
But a pretty ominous sight there, moving toward Hills. That was just a few minutes ago. And we can see the core of the storm where you're seeing these purples and pinks. That is where the heavy rain is falling at rates probably 4 maybe inches an hour. If this storm were to sit over this area for an hour, I could see maybe 4 or 5 inches. But the storm is moving a little bit slow to the east, so it's going to put down maybe 1 to 3 easily here within the next several minutes easily as the storm continues to push to the east. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Linn County as well as Cedar and Jones County.
And then they just issued a flash flood warning for Cedar, Johnson, Jones, and Linn. And we did get that report out of Ely of almost 1.5 inches that fell in just about 15 minutes.
Yeah, 1.5 inches in 15 minutes. That's a pretty high rate right there. So that prompted this flash flood warning. Again, this is to 11:15, Cedar, Johnson, Jones, and Linn County as the storm continues to grow and it continues to drift a little bit further to the north. I guess it's expanding a little bit to the north, but the core of the storm is still well into Johnson County, moving towards Iowa City. But you can see this green box outlined here. This is the flash flood warning, which does include, it looks like it does include Cedar Rapids here, the Cedar Rapids Metro. So the storm, as it continues to expand even further to the north, and then you can see the warning even goes even further into Jones County, which does include Monticello. So the storm, again, it looks like it's expanding to the north as it is also pushing to the east. But this tornado warned storm is in effect for Johnson County until 5:45, and a severe thunderstorm warning for Cedar, Jones, and Linn County.
And
this
Brandon,
goes until 6. Yes.
Yeah, did want to mention that the Jones County Fair is going on tonight.
Yes.
And if you happen to be heading to Jones County Fair or know people at the Jones County Fair, not a tornado warning at least, but could be a pretty strong thunderstorm heading toward the fairgrounds there in Monticello.
Definitely. So hopefully they at the fair are keeping their eye on this storm and taking at least some precaution or action with this storm as it continues to move into Jones County. Again, it's not a tornado warning storm, but it is still pretty dangerous, putting out some heavy rain. So some localized flash flooding certainly possible there as well. And the winds around 60, 70 mile per hour wind gust. Hail, not that much of a threat today, but it still could see some hail with these storms. The main threat, though, is the heavy rain, certainly the winds, and we could see a few isolated tornadoes right along a warm front that is draped right along Interstate 80 right now. It continues to drift even further to the south.
And Brandon, I'm going to actually go over to our short-term model here, see if it's picking up on the trends of what's happening right now. And kind of.
Not really, but.
Not great. But I did want to show here, there's 10 o'clock tonight, that it is trying to show another line of storms. So we do have that severe thunderstorm watch that's out until midnight. So we do still have the potential to see additional rounds of thunderstorms later on. Again,
yes, this is just a model's interpretation, and it does bring in some more storms after 9, 10 o'clock, and we do, like you said, have that watch out until midnight tonight. So we're certainly not out of the woods yet. We still got a long way to go for strong to possibly severe weather here throughout the rest of the night here in eastern Iowa. But again, as you can see, it does start to build more storms. It looks like just to the west of Waterloo, around I-35, right around 7, 8 o'clock, and then by 10, it brings in some more additional storms. And again, with the amount of moisture in the air, heavy rain certainly possible. We got the flash flood watches in effect for the entire area, except Keokuk and Washington County are excluded from that. But these storms going to be putting out some really heavy rain in a very short amount of time. Ely picked up, what was it, 1.25 inches in about 20 minutes?
Yeah, and it's the same situation we've been seeing for about 2 weeks now, where we get the storms that set up and then they start to train or repeat over the same area over and over. And that's what this model has been showing pretty much all day long, that we could have thunderstorms set up kind of in between Highway 20 to I-80, and we could have some flooding issues tonight if they continue to go over that same area over and over.
And we are now back here on the Doppler radar, and you do see the storm continues to expand a little bit further to the north, and it is now getting into Linn County even more, back into Jones County, into western Cedar County. As you can see, just about to the Cedar Rapids area. It looks like the worst of it, the bulk of it, is to the east of Cedar Rapids, but we're certainly, I can hear rain falling here outside of a broadcast park, and we're going to go to our Iowa City camera right now. And I believe this is this the Pentacrest, and you can see the rain certainly falling in there. You can't even see there in the background along the horizon. The rain is just falling, dumping maybe 1 inch, 2 inches in a very short amount of time here in Iowa City. So Iowa City getting in to some heavy rain right now, as pretty much all of Johnson County is, as this storm continues to track to the east through the county. A tornado warning storm in effect for Johnson County till 5:45. But we're going to look at these estimated rain totals, and this is the past 12 hours, but we really can narrow it down probably to about the last maybe hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, this is all from the storm, so this is just a Doppler estimate, but it could be about 1/2 inch of rain that has fallen there so far just in the last about half an hour. Yeah. Right.
So this is just the radar's estimates of what it thinks as far as rain totals, but you can see 2.3 inches across Johnson County, and the storm continues to move into Iowa City. We did just show you the live video feed from the Pentacrest, and it is raining very hard there in Iowa City. So these numbers will continue to progress to the east, 1 to 3 inches, and if it continues to cycle and the storm slowly moving east, continues to cycle, and you get these repeated rains, 3, maybe 4 inches in a very short amount of time are certainly possible. And here is the radar right now. We go back to the reflectivity, and we're seeing a couple cores with this storm, where you're seeing these purples just to the west of Iowa City. You can see Cosgrove off to the east. We'll get in a little bit closer here and looking at what do we have here? This is
Kansas Avenue and Rohert Road Southwest.
Okay.
Where the core of that storm is.
Yeah, where you're seeing This purple area, that is the heavy rain that is coming down, at least the core of the storm. But, you know, these darker reds, certainly heavy rain falling there, and it goes all the way back into Iowa City, even further to the east into Cedar County as well. But then the storm again right off to the west, where you're seeing that purple area. That is also another core of the storm as it continues to cycle. Another area of some heavy rain, maybe even a little bit of hail coming down here. This is just to the west of Cosgrove, and it's on, I believe, what's that, 400th Street Southwest?
Yeah, and there's Blackhawk Avenue Southwest, Baxter Avenue Southwest as well.
Okay, so yeah, heavy rain certainly coming down with this storm, and it is also a tornado warning storm. We are seeing a couple areas of rotation, and let's go back to our velocity scan and see what we can look at here. And again, right around hills, this is where we're seeing the rotation. If we can go back to our other max box, yeah, we'll pick
see
up
it
the
a little
velocity.
better.
See it a little bit better here on Radar Scope, which is a great product, by the way. But hills, you see hills right here, and we're seeing the rotation just to the west of hills, not looking like anything tight. We want to see these greens, these brighter greens against the brighter reds. So we're not really seeing that, but I am seeing some rotation here with this storm right there around hills, and then again a little bit further back to the west, kind of around in this general area, seeing some additional rotation with this storm.
And Brandon, a couple of reports to pass along to you. Williamstown and Johnson County, report of some wind damaged, tree branches down, winds estimated around 50 to 60. Also in Williamstown, quarter-sized hail reported, and then got a report from Brian on Twitter that there's no power by Mercy, no signals, and on Mount Vernon Road. So possibly some of the signals got knocked out there, and there could be some power outages happening around the area.
This strong storm again in Johnson County, rotation hills. We're seeing at least a few rotation areas of rotation here in hills. Again, back toward the west. This was around Cosgrove. It looks like up to the around the Tiffin, just to the south of Tiffin. We're seeing a little bit of rotation there as well. But again, nothing that would, at least tight rotation, that would indicate that a tornado is certainly imminent or on the ground. But this thunderstorm definitely is rotating in quite a few different areas, and we just got our new scan in, and it looks like it maybe have picked up a little bit around the hills area. So if you are around hills, this thunderstorm definitely rotating where you are, putting out some heavy rain. And if it was putting down a tornado, about 95% sure you are not going to be able to see it. There is just a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and so it most likely would be rain wrap if it was putting down a tornado.
And Brandon, Alliant is reporting over 2,700 customers without power in Linn County.
Okay, so in Linn County, 2,700 without power, according to Alliant. We can go back to our other max box and we'll show you what's going on here in Linn County. And the storm has begun to expand even further to the north, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like from about Cedar Rapids to the east here in Linn County. It also covers parts of Jones County and a little sliver of Cedar County as well. Anamosa getting into the heavy rain right now, and this is just to the south and west of Monticello. Lisbon currently in the heavy rain. We could see some small hail and some gusty winds, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour with this storm. But the main threat is the heavy rain potential. We do have a flash flood warning where you can see kind of this darker green box, which covers, does include the Cedar Rapids metro area, parts of Linn County, Johnson, Cedar, and even into Jones County as well. As this thunderstorm has prompted that flash flood warning, we've already seen Doppler Radar estimates around 2 to 2.5 inches in about, I don't know, I'd say probably in 15, 20 minutes time. So these storms definitely going to be putting out some rain, and you can see they extend all the way into Wisconsin. There's Platteville, Potosi, Cassville.
Yeah, I went up here because it's a little sliver, but I didn't want to exclude them. But there's a little sliver of Dubuque County that got included in this morning. But the storm's starting to weaken a little bit, but Sherrill, just to the north of Sageville, could have some strong winds coming through there and some heavy rain in just a bit. They just issued a little sliver of Dubuque County and a little bit of Clayton County. That storm just briefly intensified over the Mississippi and kind of weakened once it got east of Guttenberg there.
Yeah, you can see the pinks there as it crossed across Guttenberg, and then it kind of the core of the storm kind of weakened, but it's still severe thunderstorm warning. How long does that go out till?
That's until 6:15.
Okay, and it does cover this very little sliver of Dubuque County, and there is Cheryl right there, but the core of the storm looks to be into Wisconsin, but you can see here on the southern extent, right in through here, this is where your strong winds are going to be right ahead of this storm as it moves toward Cheryl and then eventually pushes even further into Wisconsin there as it exits Dubuque County. But a severe thunderstorm warning for that area as well. So gusty winds, certainly some heavy rain, and most of the action is here into the south. But look off to the west, we're seeing some showers here just to the south of I-35. Looks like around the Ames area here, and then back off to the west, some additional thunderstorms are firing. So this is an area we're going to have to watch. These showers and storms look like they are starting to fall apart. There is a kind of a cap in place, which is warm air aloft that suppresses some of these thunderstorms from developing or getting too big, and the warm air just kind of lets them go and they fizzle out. So it looks like that's kind of what we're seeing here, but as the cap erodes as we get into the evening, the low-level jet stream could kick up, and that could fire off additional storms, and that's why we're thinking we may have some more later on this evening, as we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight. But currently right now, tornado warning. This is for Johnson County until 5:45.
And Brandon, let's actually go back over to box 2 and zoom in on hills over there. Looks like we got a little bit tighter rotation, some brighter greens.
Yeah, we're seeing the brighter greens. Not as much bright as far as the red goes, but we are obviously seeing here, at least what I'm seeing here, and you too, Rebecca, these some rotation right here, pretty much over the top of hills.
Yeah, and that would be where the best signature looks if there were to be a tornado, but we've not gotten any reports still. Radar indicated. Did want to say the emergency manager in Johnson County says hail falling on the west side of Iowa City, nickel to dime size near UIHC. Sean on Twitter said legit hail and sheets of rain on the west side of Iowa City. So likely just very hard to see in that storm if you're around the Iowa City area.
Yeah, Iowa City, we did see a video of the Pentacrest, a live video there, and the rain was falling so hard you couldn't even see in the background there, and likely that rain is continuing to fall across Iowa City and all over Johnson County. But it is an extremely dangerous storm, putting out some penny to quarter size hail?
Nickel to dime.
Nickel to dime, okay.
Yes.
Wrong coins there. But we do have, again, this rotation around hills that has now moved a little bit further to the east, but it did go, it looks like right over the top of hills where the rotation is. Again, nothing confirmed as far as a tornado on the ground, but it is definitely rotating. The storm has been rotating, showing even a few different areas of rotation here in about the last 30 to 45 minutes. So it does continue to rotate as it pushes to the east, and we're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales, who is out and about near this storm. And Terry, where are you currently right now?
I'm about 5, maybe 6 miles northwest of hills, but I'm in a situation where it's all rain wrapped now, very messy, and we got into some pretty decent hail, and most of the traffic on the interstate going south here towards hills has been pulled off to the side of the road and just kind of waiting it out. But we probably had, I wouldn't say quite golf ball size hail, but maybe a little bit less than that. So some decent hail and just blinding torrential rainfall. So we're kind of letting that pass on by so we can hopefully get back into the south side of the storm and get out of all this rain mess here.
Yeah, that was the one thing we were worried about. We had dew points again in the 70s, even last hour, an 80-degree dew point in Iowa City to go along with a temperature of 93. So extreme instability. These thunderstorms are starting to pop up, but we did mention with the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, if there was a tornado, you're really not going to be able to see it, as it's most likely going to be rain wrapped, and you can attest to that with the rain that you have experienced here.
Right, and of course this is rush hour, so the traffic is extremely heavy, but it just gets to the point where people can't even see, and so everyone's lined up on the side of the road right now, and just a big line of taillights as far as I can see, and that sometimes is not very far considering the intensity of the rain. So yeah, it's extremely moist and very much a rain-wrapped situation where we are. So if we get an opportunity here and we can bust through, we'll try to come back in from the south side and hopefully have a better vantage point there.
All right, well, stay safe out there driving in that heavy rain. And of course, we'll be keeping in touch with you here over the next several minutes as the storm continues to push across Johnson County. But Terry said he was just to the northwest of Hills, and this is where we're seeing the rotation. The rotation a little bit further to the east now, but Terry is kind of looking at it from this angle, but he wants to get more towards the south to see if he can see anything here on the south end of this storm. So Terry's going to kind of reposition, but again, he has to fight through a lot of rain as this storm is just dumping out a lot of rainfall. And we're going to look at a picture of hail right now that we're getting in. This is from Iowa City, at least the southwest part of Iowa City. Looking like quarter-size hail. You see there the quarter and the hailstone right next to it. So some decent amount of hail there reported that we do see here confirmed with this picture. But again, hail not the big threat we're looking at. As there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. It's very warm, and some of these hailstones are melting by the time they get to the ground, but they are putting out some at least quarter-size hail. We did get at least reports of maybe a little bit bigger than that. But again, the heavy rain certainly is what we're the main threat with this thunderstorm.
And the Summer of the Arts, which is goes on down in Iowa City. They are saying they have canceled the concert because of the severe weather ongoing. So if you're thinking of heading out that way, they have canceled the concert for the Summer of the Arts.
Yeah, a lot of outdoor activities planned, I'm sure, tonight here. So with, of course, the weather moving through, I'm sure a lot of those activities and events have been canceled for the evening. Of course, if you have anything, you might want to check ahead on that. But we are watching, again, this area of rotation just to the east of Hills. It did go over Hills. Nothing confirmed as far as a tornado, but this storm is certainly rotating. It has been for quite some time now. And we'll go back off to the west a little bit where we may be seeing additional rotation here, even a little bit further to the northwest as the storm continues to kind of to cycle back a little bit. But generally, it's been in the same area over the last hour and a half, and this area experiencing quite a bit of rain, 1 to 3 inches. We had Doppler estimates, radar estimates of around 2 to 2.5 here in about the last 30 to 45 minutes. So the storm dumping a lot of rain, but you can see a couple areas of rotation here just to the east of Hills, back to the west, and even another area of rotation which has just showed up here even to the northwest of that. But this tornado warning currently in effect for Johnson County till 5:45 here in about the next 10 minutes. And have you seen anything about as far as extending the warning? Or
they have not said much. They're saying Hills has strong gate-to-gate rotation just aloft, so it doesn't seem like much is translating to the surface here, but we've kind of seen this go back and forth, and it hasn't really gotten to a good tight place where it's super evident. But they are keeping the tornado warning, and that is just for another about 10 minutes here for Johnson County.
Yeah, the radar looking up into the storm, so we're definitely seeing some mid-level rotation, but nothing more towards the lower levels, more towards the surface, which is what you want when you get a tornado. You want that strong surface rotation. We're not seeing a lot of that here on this velocity scan, but definitely are seeing a couple areas of rotation just to the east of Hills. It looks like a little bit more here back. Looks like to the north of Riverside, kind of maybe around in here as the storm does continue to cycle, and even a little bit further to the northwest, you see Kelowna, maybe a little bit of rotation there. So this storm, again, a few areas of rotation. It is a dangerous storm, and we're looking up around Iowa City, and we'll take you now to Highway 22. This is near Riverside, the road warrior. This is where CJ Garland currently is. So he is near Riverside, and it looks like he was picking up on that area of rotation that we were just showing you here just seconds ago. But some pretty ominous clouds there. You can see the thunderstorm there as he is traveling on Highway 22, and this has just hit at the worst possible time on a Friday. Of course, during rush hour. We talked to Terry Swales just a few minutes ago, and he was out on the interstate and out on the roads. People pulled over because of the torrential rainfall. So again, it couldn't have hit at a worse time of day, especially at the end of the week. So these storms, again, putting out some very heavy rain, seeing a couple areas of rotation, but it looks like CJ was kind of around this area, just around the Riverside area, looking up into that storm.
And I will say, it does not look like it was as low. We didn't have as much lowering there on that picture as he had earlier when he was down near Kelowna. So, oh, he's west of the rotation.
Okay.
So, yeah, so he's not really in that spot where we'd be seeing it because it didn't look like he was too close to any wall cloud or anything like that. But let's see here. Quarter-sized hail in Coralville.
Okay.
That was a report there right about 5:22. So now the hail core is actually weakened a bit, so we might not be seeing hail that large anymore.
All right, if we can go back to our other max box, we'll show you the core of the storm. But you can see it has weakened a little bit. These purple colors that you're seeing, this obviously was a little bit larger here not too long ago. We did see two areas, at least two cores here within the storm, and we'll put it into rotation and you can kind of see them right there, and then they kind of loosen their intensity a little bit, but it's still a very, very strong storm. But we're looking at right around hills, a little bit of a core there, and then again back off to the northwest as the storm does continue to push off to the east. Again, Iowa City looking at some heavy rain, and all throughout Johnson County you're seeing rainfalls. Giving me some water. Thank you very much.
Talking about the water.
Talking about the water, yeah.
Yeah, Iowa City got into a little bit of a reprieve there, and then it looks like it's going to pick back up right in the city once again. We can actually zoom in here just into the metro area of Iowa City. So Kinnick Stadium right on campus here. Coralville, heavy rain going through Coral Ridge Mall. And this is yeah, just in the Coralville, Iowa City area. There were pictures on Twitter of people just stopped in the streets on the side of the roads because they aren't driving into this. Oh, new tornado warning.
Got a new tornado warning, okay. They, looks like, expanded it a little bit further to the east.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one is going until 6:30.
Okay.
This is just radar indicated. This is for the southern half of Johnson County, and then a little sliver here of Cedar County in the southwest corner.
Now you're looking at Cedar County right here. And then it does get into Muscatine County. That is out of our viewing area, but then it's still Johnson County, at least eastern Johnson County, is still in the path of this tornadic storm. But that goes until 6:30, and you can see the storm continues to move to the east. And again, kind of recycling. We saw the core of the storm here, and then it kind of built back off to the west. So a lot of rainfall with this storm. Let's try to put up a precipitation, at least what we've seen here in the last maybe several minutes. And again, this is indicated in the last 12 hours, but really it's with this storm, which was here in about the last hour. And Doppler Radar estimating around 3.1 inches of rain in a very short amount of time, right here just to the west and south of Iowa City, even some back even further to the west. I would imagine that's right around 3 inches as well. So you can bet.
Yeah, I was going to say we should actually go back over to box 2 real quick and just looking at the rotation that we're seeing there. But yes, heavy rainfall happening, and then some rotation just to the north of Riverside.
Yeah, this is what we're looking at just to the north here of Riverside, northeast. Looking at some new rotation. Again, we're talking about the storm continuing to cycle. We see an area of rotation, and then that kind of moves off, and then the storm continues to back build, and we're seeing another area of rotation just to the north and east of Riverside right now, and it looks like it is just to the south of Hills. So the initial rotation of the storm went across hills, and that is even further to the east right now. And again, it's really broad, so it looks like it's kind of loosened or let up a little bit here, not as tight as we would like to see. As far as if it's going to produce a tornado, we want something very tight. So certainly good news here that it's starting to lose a little bit of the rotation, but it does look like around Riverside, just now to the northeast, we are seeing some rotation right here. We're getting it's getting kind of messy, it looks like, with a lot of colors in here, but if it's going to be putting down a tornado, it would be right here just to the northeast of Riverside.
Yeah, and the other tornado warning, because they're probably just still watching that rotation in Hills, but that warning will be let go at 5:45, so they're likely going to let that warning expire and continue this one on the southern extent here.
Okay, so this rotation here, what you're seeing just to the east of Hills, this is until 5:45 right here, but then we're looking back to the south, right around Riverside. We're watching this area of rotation, which prompted the additional warning, which is until 6:30.
The one to the south now is 6:30, yes.
Yeah, until 6:30. So we're seeing this rotation. This will continue to drift off to the east into Johnson County. It will get into Muscatine County, and then it looks like into Cedar County as well, at least southwestern Cedar County, as we're looking again at a couple areas of rotation right here, and then down around the Riverside area as well. And if we go back to our other max box, we'll take a look. Maybe we can do a little bit of a tighter view here. We're looking at a couple cores of the storm right around Hills. Again, Hills, this has been the area in the last, 20 to 30 minutes. Some torrential rain. You can see here just to the north of Hills. This is Oak Creek Hill Road. Is that what that? Yeah, Oak Creek Hill Road.
Oak Crest Hill.
Oak Crest. Okay.
Yep.
Oak Crest Hill Road. Guess my vision is failing me right now. And over to Hills, just to the north and east of Hills, and then I can't read that one either.
There's Sand Road, 480th,
okay.
and this is going to continue to move kind of to the east here. And they issue these warnings. They just put this one out for 45 minutes. It's because the movement's been kind of odd here. It's sitting on a boundary. Let's actually just do this for the last 30, 45 minutes here. It's sitting on a boundary, and they're not really moving all that much. It's started to pick up perhaps to the east a bit, but these are not moving very fast.
They are not, as you can attest with the rainfall rates that we're seeing here with these storms. Nothing really, there's no like upper level support to really kick these storms out and move them. So they're not very progressive. They're kind of hanging out around the same areas, all tied to a warm front that has drifted right around Interstate 80. But we're looking now, this is a live shot from the Road Warrior. This is CJ Garland, a very own CJ Garland, out north of Riverside. Again, looking at a tornado warned storm, and you can just see the storm right there. You can see it building up. Pretty ominous sight right there. He's still enough of a ways away. We're not seeing really any rotation yet. He's still far away from that storm, but he'll continue to get hopefully a little bit closer to see if we can pick up some rotation if that storm is definitely rotating as he continues to make his way towards the core of that storm just to the north of Riverside, where we do have a tornado warning for Johnson County, which is going to expire here. Part of the county did right now, but they did extend it. Yeah, they did extend the warning until 6:30. So here is the new warned box where you're seeing this this kind of a red box area. So just to the west of Hills, you can see the core right here in Hills. So the warning is just to the west of there, and then it moves further a bit to the east into Muscatine.
West Liberty, Downey. Let's see if I can get the warning box on here. Does not include West Branch, south of West Branch, but West Liberty. Let's see if we can get another towns in here. Hills, and actually the best rotation might just be outside of this box here near Sharon Center. Yeah,
where you're seeing the greens and the reds kind of right up against each other. We're seeing, again, it looks like some stronger rotation there as well. And we've been talking about this. The storm, we'll see one area of rotation, and then it kind of cycles back a little bit further to the west. As again, this is all along a warm front. So that front, that boundary is kind of increasing this rotation here, but nothing in the lower levels, nothing really surface based. So we're not seeing anything. The rotation extend from the cloud all the way down to the ground. We're not seeing any kind of tornado, nothing confirmed, but we are seeing this rotation within the storm, within the mid levels here, that we are seeing this rotation where it could produce a tornado, but nothing at least that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and haven't really gotten any reports. I'm seeing a couple pictures on Twitter still of some lowering, but no reports, haven't gotten any reports of funnel clouds even. That's going to be the first sign of something coming down to lead to a tornado, but there's still enough rotation that they're concerned about this and want to keep the warning going here.
And if we can go back to Max 2, we'll take a look at the velocities. Again, this is the wind field that we're looking at, radar looking up into the storm, and it's it's just looking a little messy here right now. We're seeing, several areas, maybe just to the west of Lone Tree, kind of right in here, some rotation, even a little bit back further to the west. You see Hills, maybe to the northeast of Kelowna, seeing some rotation right now. This looks to be kind of the area, the better area of rotation, at least with this storm that we're seeing. And we'll go back here around Lone Tree. Again, kind of in here, and then maybe even a little bit up to the north, seeing some more broader rotation with the storm. So a few different areas of rotation, which obviously concerns the Weather Service. That's why they extended this tornado warning in Johnson County, also into Muscatine. which is again out of our viewing area, but it also goes up into Cedar County as well, and this is until 6:30.
And just a recap of some reports here. Solon, where they are having Solon beef days. So if you're heading out to Solon, some rain fell there, but they had an inch and a half of rain. And let's see here, it was 1.47 inches of rain. We also had at the Iowa City Airport 53-mile-an-hour wind gust, and some reports of nickel and quarter-sized hail in the area. And it looks like this hail core is starting to pick up too in intensity just east of Sharon Center and northwest of Hills. If we want to go back over to Max 1, perhaps we can kind of see that a little better with the hail core.
The hail core, yep, just to the east of Sharon Center right there. So again, the storm continuing to build back further to the west, which is problematic in the fact that we're seeing a lot of rain with this storm, already up to 3 inches as far as radar estimates with this rain. So the more it continues to back build to the west, we're going to see even some more additional rainfall amounts. So some localized flash flooding certainly is a possibility, but the flash flood warning does not, I don't think does it include Johnson County?
It's all of Johnson County.
All of Johnson
yes.
County is included. Okay, here we go. Here's the green box.
Yeah.
The green box that you're seeing right there. All this area from Johnson County even into Linn County, which does include the Cedar Rapids Metro, back into Cedar and even into Jones County. A flash flood warning. This is out, I believe, until about
11:45 p.m.
11:45. So some localized flash flooding certainly possible. And we're going to go to a video now. This is right outside of Lone Tree, just to the northwest, and you can see the low cloud bases right there.
Yeah, definitely some lowering, but no evidence of a funnel cloud or anything. There's not a lot of rotation either, not very tight rotation at least.
Looking at maybe a little bit of a wall cloud there, just to the east of, or just to the right of that silo there. So definitely, it's trying to put down a tornado, as you can see with the rotation that we've been showing you. But nothing has been confirmed. Nothing touching down to the ground. So the rotation still staying up in the clouds. And again, this is just to the north of Riverside. This is a tornado warned storm here that our very own CJ Garland is looking at. He's looking to the west. He's just north of Riverside, but looking to the west. And we'll try to put that up here on the radar here in a little bit and see if we can see exactly where CJ is looking into that storm. But you can see pretty ominous there. Can't really tell if it's rotating. He's still a little bit ways away, but it's a little bit hard to tell here on the camera.
There's some sort of hard to see lowering, I suppose, happening. Kind of two spots there, but
okay,
yeah,
I see what you're saying now.
Rotation evident.
Okay, so there is that's CJ again looking to the west, just to the north of Riverside, where his current location is. We'll go now to the Doppler radar, and again, Hills. We've been talking about Hills for quite some time as the storm continues to cycle back to the west, and it's going over the same spot. So Hills again has been seeing quite a bit of rainfall here within the last hour, and additional rain continuing to fall as it looks like the core of this storm is getting ready to pass through Hills once again. So you can see continued torrential rain, as well as some small hail and some wind gusts around 60 to 70 miles per hour is certainly likely as well. We'll go a little bit further to the east.
CJ's looking, he's from Riverside, and you have these little notches, inflow notches, that we try and look at for some sort of indication of rotation and winds coming into that storm there. The Weather Service is saying, oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm not very, not seeing a lot of evidence of rotation. I don't know if CJ's saying that he can see much else.
Yeah, he's saying he can see some broad rotation within that. We do see, it looks like a little bit of a lowering there straight ahead in the shot. So that's something that, of course, we'll continue to watch to see what that does. But he is seeing some broad rotation within that storm, and that is evident on the velocities that we are looking at on the radar.
Yeah, and the Weather Service just saying near Lone Tree, 9 miles south of West Branch, moving east pretty slowly here at 15 miles an hour, and also ping pong sized hail. We've been seeing these purples kind of come in and out here, where we could be getting some hail and some pretty heavy rain as well.
Right, we're seeing a couple cores here with this storm, so some heavy rain, obviously some small hail, torrential rain at that. We are getting reports of 1 to 2 inches in a very short amount of time. Even radar estimating around 3 inches here just in central Johnson County from this storm that has been kind of training and backbuilding in this general area. And we are looking at the velocities now. This is
not
the radar.
Seeing much.
Yeah, not seeing much at all as far as rotation. We're just seeing kind of a big area, maybe some broad rotation here just to the north of Riverside. That's kind of what I'm thinking, or at least what CJ may be looking at. He's north of Riverside looking to the west, so he may be seeing something kind of up in here. And we'll go to the shot again, and it looks like it's just some scud, as what we call it here.
Yeah.
Right there, as you can see, kind of the lowering there, but it looks like those clouds are just kind of hanging out, maybe getting sucked up into the storm.
And the Weather Service is even, they're looking more at Lone Tree now too. And we've kind of just seen the storm cycle. So up and down, we get these areas of pockets of rotation. And still, even by Lone Tree,
Yep.
If we go over to Max 2, actually, Brandon has a better look at that. It's pretty broad.
Pretty broad, yeah. Nothing tight. What we want to look at here is if the storm is putting down a tornado, we want to see these really bright greens and these really like a bright red up in here. We want to see these really tight together. That would indicate that there's a pretty good bet that this storm is putting down a tornado, but we're not really seeing that here. It's more broad. We do see the bright greens, but kind of not so much of a dark red here, kind of a murky red. So just an area of broad rotation. So the storm is rotating, but certainly not putting down a tornado from what we're hearing and from what we're seeing here on the radar. But again, this is a dangerous storm and something we're going to continue to follow as this storm does push off to the east. And it looks like they did extend the flash flood warning even further to the south, which does include Lone Tree.
Yeah, and if we go over to Max 1 here, we can kind of do a little recap of what's going on. We have the tornado warning for southern Johnson and just a southwestern sliver of Cedar County until 6:45. We do have a flash flood warning, this green box here that does include Cedar Rapids, Linn, Johnson, Jones until 11:15. And then this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6, so that'll expire in 5 minutes for Cedar and Jones. And it's kind of moved out of the box there to the east a little bit. Which Monticello, Jones County Fair is going on at the fairgrounds in Monticello. You could still have some lightning strikes around there, but it looks like the strongest part of that storm may just miss the fairgrounds.
Yeah, which is certainly good news there.
But Wyoming, heavy rain.
Yeah, the storm is just passing to the south and east now of Monticello, but again through Wyoming, Oxford Junction, just to the east of Anamosa, as it continues to even push further off into the east into Jackson County. So again, the severe thunderstorm warning is only out until 6 o'clock, but again, it looks like the core of the storm has pushed off out of the warning box area, so we'll have to see what the Weather Service does with that. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch. This is out until midnight for pretty much all of eastern Iowa, excluding our our far northern counties, Allamakee and Winnesheek counties. So where you're seeing these pinks here, this is a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight, and we are expecting perhaps some more storms to fire later on through the evening hours until about late evening into the early overnight. They should exit the area, so we're kind of watching that right now to see what happens with that. But if we can go back to the radar, to Max 1, we'll kind of show you what's going on. Well, first here we'll show you again, Lone Tree. This is the area of rotation the Weather Service was looking at. Again, some broad rotation, nothing tight here, which would indicate that a tornado would perhaps be imminent, but we are seeing some broad rotation. So this storm is definitely rotating. And then we'll look back off to the west. We are seeing a little bit just to the north and east of Riverside as well, but nothing distinct, nothing that we really look at to see if this storm is putting down a tornado, but certainly is still fully capable of doing that. We'll have to see if the storm does continue to cycle as it has been. We're seeing areas of rotation and then back to the west, new areas of rotation. So, and these things can certainly strengthen, but the trend that's been going on with this storm in the last hour, 45 minutes or so, is we're not really seeing that tight rotation that we would if this was putting down a tornado.
Yeah, not quite, but it does look like it's perhaps trying to cycle a little bit out there near Lone Tree, and but some brighter green showing up just to the south of the Lone Tree, but it's not really tightening up too much. The Weather Service saying they're watching a rotation between Wyoming and Oxford Junction.
Okay, a little to the north.
As well. So just been seeing a lot of, yeah, there you go. That's a little bit further to the, south.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So
watching this, again, it looks pretty
all
broad
right.
here.
And then if we go over to Max 1, we actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning up in our northern counties. And this is an area where, I mean, give them a break from the rain, please. But Clayton, Fayette counties, severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45. That is for, let's see here, 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Okay.
So new severe thunderstorm warning in Clayton, Fayette County. Strongest part of that storm just to the south of Postville near Gunder.
Yeah, this is kind of a similar place just 2 nights ago where these storms did track through almost the exact same area. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds certainly possible with this. Some small hail, but again, the big story is the torrential rain, and this warning is in effect until 6:45. So the area that does not need any more rain is certainly getting it right now. Clayton and Fayette County, even last week, they pick up quite a bit of rain as well around the Osterdock area, and certainly more rain is moving through right now. Of course, just a couple days ago, Wednesday night, a strong storm went through that area, even
produced a tornado in McGregor.
Produced a tornado in McGregor. So you see McGregor here off to the east, and it looks like the storm is heading in your general direction. But right now, the core of the storm is just getting into Clayton County right now, where you're seeing that purple color. And we'll put a fan on this here, and you can see it's going to get into Monona around 6:25, eventually Gaillard and McGregor. It is heading your way at 6:53. You certainly don't need any more rain, or you could probably use a break for quite a while, but unfortunately the storm is heading right to you again. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and of course just torrential rain with this storm.
And I'm looking at the rotation on my phone. The Weather Service mentioned it, that they were kind of monitoring it, but it's gotten a little weird up there. But they were saying they were looking at some rotation near the Claremont area, but they're keeping just severe thunderstorm warning. Could be some strong winds in here, and also the rain. And they were already having issues in these counties, and they are under a flash flood watch, as most of us are, with the exception of Keokuk and Washington counties.
Right, a flash flood watch is out for much of eastern Iowa until 9 a.m. tomorrow, as we're going to see these storms, which are just starting to develop right now and move across the area. So some localized flash flooding certainly possible as we head through the evening into the overnight into tomorrow morning, as these storms are they're going to produce 1 to 3 inches. Even some locally higher amounts are possible during where these stronger storms do track. That's what prompted this flash flood watch in effect until 9 tomorrow morning. But right now we're going back to our tornado warned storm here. This is for eastern and central Johnson County, back into Cedar County as well, and this is out until 6:30. Okay,
yes,
until 6:30. So where you're seeing these reds again, this is just some torrential rain that is falling, and some parts of this area did pick up some heavy rain last night even, and so again looking at some heavy rain with the storm as it moves through Johnson and into Cedar and eventually Muscatine County. But here's the estimated rain totals. This is from the Doppler Radar, and it does say the past 12 hours, but really it's probably within about the last hour and a half, and the radar is estimating around 2.7 inches of rain just again to the southwest of Iowa City. And you go even further a little bit to the east, we're looking at 2 inches here right along Highway 1 just to the southwest of West Branch. So 1 to 3 inches already has fallen from at least from what the radar can pick up, and even some locally higher amounts are certainly possible as well.
Yeah, and we really haven't gotten any other reports. I don't know if we have any other images from CJ and the Road Warrior or anything, but really been kind of quiet over here from the Weather Service.
And we are watching this storm again. It looks like just to the south of Hills now, it's starting to cycle up. We might even get in maybe a little bit of a notch in here, at least on the reflectivity, just to the east of Riverside, between Riverside and Lone Tree. But that would be even out of the tornado warned part of this storm.
Yeah, and the rotation, even on velocity mode, does not look very.
Yeah, if we can go back to box
two.
number 2, we'll kind of look at the velocities here, and this is what the radar is looking at up into the storm, kind of the wind field here of the storm. And this is kind of how we can see if it is rotating. If we can go back to box number 2, max number 2, there we go. And then we'll kind of look here to see what we're looking at. But
they have canceled the tornado warning for Cedar County.
Okay, so Cedar County, tornado warning has been canceled.
But they're continuing it, so they're letting it go in the northern half there. We have to track this storm out of Johnson County here.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like the storm is, at least the rotation part of this storm is going to miss Cedar County. That obviously is why they canceled that part of the warning. But we are looking at Johnson County again, kind of around Lone Tree, kind of this big area here. We're looking at the possibility of this storm rotating. Again, it's pretty broad. It's, you know, nothing super tight, which is what we want to see if this storm were putting down a tornado. So we're not really seeing that right now, but the storm is definitely rotating. We now go to the Road Warrior. This is just east of Riverside, and you can see the rain is certainly falling. As CJ Garland, our very own CJ, is out in the Road Warrior looking at this storm, and you can kind of see it's kind of murky out there with the rain that does continue to fall. As he is driving through. It doesn't look like the rain is heavy right now, but he is heading just to the east of Riverside. So we're going to try to see where he is at. Probably somewhere in this general direction, I would think, is where he's at. But again, it's the radar, the velocities here looking pretty muddy right now. But again, the part of the storm that is rotating is just between Lone Tree and Nichols, kind of right in this general area is kind of what we're looking at. So this tornado warning does continue for Johnson County until 6:30. Cedar County, it has been canceled for you as the storm remains a little bit further to the south. It does not look like it is going to affect Cedar County, at least the tornadic part of the storm.
Yeah, and just at least looks like we're seeing a little bit of higher amounts there on the velocity mode, but not really tight rotation that you like to see.
It looks like right around Nichols.
Yeah,
right,
that's kind of what we're looking at
yeah,
there.
right in here would be where the storm is rotating.
Which is starting to get out of Johnson County there.
So this is just getting out of Johnson County.
But we have seen back by, Riverside, Lone Tree, still some areas of rotation. I think that's why they're keeping the warning still back into that little sliver there of Johnson County.
Yeah, it's looking again a little muddy here, but maybe like around the Lone Tree, we're just getting a lot of variation in the colors here, which is something that we don't want to see. I mean, we do want to see, because that means the storm is weakening. But if it was going to be putting down a tornado, these colors want to be more tight and compact, especially the reds and the greens. And then kind of back here toward Riverside, maybe a little bit of area of rotation there as well. But let's go back to the other radar, and we'll kind of show you what is going on if we go back to box 1 across eastern Iowa. So here is this storm that is now just pushing off from Johnson County, it looks like, into Muscatine County now. Yeah,
it is starting to get out of Johnson County here. We still have a bit of the storm moving through. Iowa City is now starting to get into some drier times. And just near Lone Tree, east of Riverside, West Liberty, and the Nichols area, kind of the strongest part of that storm right now.
So the storm continues to push to the east. Let's see if we can back it out and kind of see what is going on across the area. You do see this storm moving in to Jones County, back into to Jackson County as well. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning for a part of Dubuque County, but that cell is pushed off into Wisconsin. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning now. It looks like for Clayton,
Fayette.
Yeah, for Clayton and Fayette. This is the storm that prompted the warning, which is now into Clayton County, just to the south of Postville. It is heading toward Gaillard. Menard, and eventually Bridgeport. So the storm putting down 60, maybe 70-mile-per-hour winds, and of course torrential rain. Again, back off to the west. We're getting back into Fayette County. It looks like a storm just starting to get maybe a little bit stronger there. So we'll have to see what the Weather Service in La Crosse does with this cell as it gets closer to West Union, just to the south of St. Lucas. So these
north of Hawkeye there, yep.
Yeah, just to the north of Hawkeye, where you're seeing that purple and the pink. So that storm looks like it's starting to get a little bit of a core on it. So that would mean that the storm is starting to strengthen a little bit. But then we look up even to the west. We're seeing some showers again just to the west of Waterloo. And then these have kind of fallen apart here down towards Des Moines, so maybe running into a little bit of a cap in place, which is warm air aloft, and that's suppressing these thunderstorms and kind of making them, I guess, fizzle out is how you can put it. But we are expecting perhaps some additional development later on this evening. A couple models we look at do bring in another round of showers and storms, and we do have this severe thunderstorm watch, and this does go until midnight for much of eastern Iowa. Some of our far two northern counties are excluded, Allamakee and Winnesheet County, but you see the pink here. This is a severe thunderstorm watch pretty much for all of eastern Iowa here. That is until midnight tonight, as this is probably just one of two rounds that we're going to be watching here over the next few hours. And here is a model that we look at. And you can see as we get into around 9, 10 o'clock, it is starting to generate even a few more thunderstorms here. And then they'll continue to push off to the east. And it looks like right along this front, we have a warm front that's draped right around I-80. That's where these storms are forming right now. So it looks like that boundary might get shifted a little bit further to the north as we go into the evening hours tonight. That low-level jet stream will kick in, and we'll start to send that warm front a little bit to the north. So it looks like that's where the activity would start to form. It looks like the model was trying to indicate right around Highway 20 to Highway 30, right in that corridor down to I-80, as you can see right here, 10, 11 o'clock later on tonight. Again, this is just a model. This is just a model's interpretation of the atmosphere, trying to see what, you know, the dynamics, puts it all together, and then it does produce you know, the output here. So that's what it is showing. So we'll have to continue to watch that trend to see what happens. But by tomorrow morning, the storms are well out of here. But there is a flash flood watch that is out until 9 a.m. tomorrow for where you can see the green here. It does exclude Keokuk and Washington counties, and we did get word that Dubuque Street in Iowa City is closed because of the flooding of the heavy rain. So Dubuque Street in Iowa City is closed down. They are telling people to avoid that area. You're not going to go through. Water is on the road, which is not surprising considering this storm, as it has been slowly building and cycling across Johnson County. As you can see, it is now exiting Johnson County, getting into Muscatine County, but that tornado warning is still in effect until 6:30.
They have just said they got a report that there was a funnel cloud just south of 155 and Davis Avenue in Muscatine County, so they just issued a new warning for Muscatine County. We're starting to see, you know, the rotation kind of lighten up here in Johnson County, so they may let this one go early, but we have to see. They still have 20 minutes on this warning for eastern Johnson County.
And the way this storm continues to cycle and back to the west, we have been seeing different areas of rotation here within about the last 45 minutes to an hour. So we're going to have to see what the Weather Service does with this storm here.
And there's CJ's shot of Lone Tree. So you can still see some lowering there, but it's not rotating. Not a lot of evidence of rotation, at least. You can see the winds kind of whipping around those the flags. So definitely some strong winds and some, but not really much indication.
And if you see where that flag is, and you see off into the distance there's some really heavy rain falling. As you can see, that the sky, the background there, kind of that murkiness, I guess, is what you would call it. So there's
indication of some heavy rain and hail.
Yeah, so some heavy rain, maybe a little bit of hail falling in there as well. So that is CJ looking into that storm, and we'll go back to our velocities. And again, it's looking kind of messy, so that would mean the storm isn't really, as far as the rotation, it looks like it is weakening here across Johnson County. We're looking right around Lone Tree. Not seeing much of anything right here, even a little bit back to the west, maybe a little bit back here around just to the south of Hills, to the northeast of Riverside, kind of in this area. That might be something.
They have canceled the warning for Johnson County.
Okay, so the tornado warning is canceled for Johnson County and is now into Muscatine County, but that is out of our area. Let's do a quick overview, though, of what we got going on as far as the radar. If we can go back to our other Max box, we'll kind of show you what is going on and what we can expect later on tonight. We do have, this is kind of the broad view of what's going on in eastern Iowa. You do see the thunderstorms. They do extend here, again, just getting out of Johnson County into Muscatine County, and then they continue to go up to the north, it looks like, into
Cedar and Jones.
into Jones County, and then even getting into Dubuque County a little bit, and then we go even further up to the north into Clayton, into Fayette County, and you do see a severe thunderstorm warning for, it looks like, Clayton County. That is until, I believe,
6:45.
6:45
yes.
right here, Clayton County, which certainly does not need any more rain or any more storms, but that is coming your way right now. And then we look back off to the west, and we're seeing these showers kind of fizzle out between Fort Dodge and Waterloo along Highway 20, and then even some storms fizzling out around Des Moines. But we do think we're going to see some additional development kind of around this area later on tonight, as once this low-level jet stream kicks in and these storms do start to bubble up once again. We got a lot of instability in the atmosphere today, temperatures in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of humidity in the air. So these storms do have the potential of bubbling up once again later on tonight. So that's something we'll continue to watch. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight tonight. So, of course, if we have any more warnings, we'll be following this weather situation all throughout the evening. And if we do get any warnings, we'll be sure to pass those along. But we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, we'll bring you some news here in just a few minutes.